Hey, well, we're back here at Prime Motivation, and we are doing the first annual Automotive Arts and Technology Expo here in beautiful Long Beach, California. A big thank you goes out to the Salvation Army, Long Beach Citadel, who they were just wonderful, who opened their doors up. A big shout out to one of the great sponsors, the Water Replenishment District of Southern California. Thank you. They came up. They were a sponsor, and they gave us some love. A big thank you goes out to Long Beach Fire, Chariots, Team Hot Wheels, and of course Salvation Army. We can't say enough about all the people. I cannot, again, Mad Mike from. His fame was from Pimp My Ride, but his real work is at the Ford dealership. Oh, my goodness, my brain. Galpin Auto Sports. We've been meeting so many wonderful people. A big thank you goes out to John Morton, former Nissan race car driver. He was in Carroll Shelby's garage. But you know what? We're going to jump into another interview. Again, we've got another great guest here, Mr. Farron Dozier. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Brother, man, now this is a cool guy, military guy. What branch of service were you in?
Served in the Army, 24 years.
24 years in the service, man. Again, let me start out by saying thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Brother, I'm going to tell you, you're an amazing guy. And all the men and women of the armed services, I salute you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I really do. Tell me a little bit about, you've got a cool little organization yourself. Tell me about it, man.
So I have an organization called What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention, and that actually came out of my military career.
Okay.
I was exercising doing a 2-mile run at my master's sergeant school, and I collapsed. And they showed up like dehydration, heat stroke. They said it was a freak accident. It took them 4 years to figure out that it was sickle cell trait related. And that happened by a conversation of a fellow officer of mine that I hadn't seen that I was deployed with. He asked me on base one day, how you been? And I told him, you don't want to know. He says, no, tell me. So I explained to him what I was dealing with, the depression and the muscle issues and the fatigue. And he says, well, something like that happened to me before, but I have sickle cell trait. And so that made me remember that I was tested positive for the sickle cell trait in 1999. And then when I got all that military documentation from the clinic, we were able to put together the information that sickle cell trait was actually the trigger of that health issue that I suffered, was dying from.
And please inform me, is that something that can be treated with medicine, or how is it managed?
Well, there's two different conversations. So with sickle cell trait, we're just normally known to be a gene carrier.
Okay.
So the normal conversation is make sure you don't mate with another person so you don't have a baby with sickle cell disease. That's been the normal conversation. But what they're starting to find out is that people like myself who have sickle cell trait, we also have health issues. As far as you've seen athletes exercising, playing football preseason, collapsing on football fields. Well, a lot of those deaths were sickle cell trait related.
Wow.
So that's what I experienced.
And when you say these type of conditions, is it a higher temperature? Is it elevated heart rate? What do you normally find?
So what they're discovering is that with having the sickle cell trait, the red blood cells carry oxygen throughout the body.
Gotcha.
Right. So if you overexert yourself by either maybe not being hydrated enough, or maybe you might have a cold, and your body is already being stressed with the cold, and you exercise, that gene mutates.
Wow.
And then that loss of oxygen to the body creates the secondary health conditions.
I see you got a really short questionnaire here for What's the Count, and you have a community sickle cell trait questionnaire.
Yes.
Male and female. Circle your age, whether you're under 18 or 29. You have your different age brackets. And the question would be, have you heard of sickle cell trait?
Yes.
If you picked yes to number one, would you like to know more about the trait? And do you know anyone with the sickle cell trait? Would you like to know more about the sickle cell trait? And do you think sickle cell is contagious? Yeah. Interesting.
So I can't take credit for that. My daughter has sickle cell trait, and I passed that to her. So she actually created this survey for her class out of her college course. She wanted to do an informative speech, and so she wanted to do on sickle cell trait, and so we put it together, and then she actually took that to her class to do statistics. So she gave them that survey, and then she went back and did her report, and then reported back what the class knew about sickle cell trait. So my daughter gets full credit for that.
Hey, shout out!
So I took that as part of our organization work. So now I get to find out what people know
Well,
about sickle cell trait.
beyond you being this great guy with this organization and making a difference and pushing up awareness on sickle cell, you also are a cool radio guy, man.
Yeah.
I tell me a little bit about that. So you in the military, you were on military radio.
So actually, I was a mechanic.
Okay.
I was a mechanic in the military. I worked on track wheel vehicles. I was quartermaster, so I was supply sergeant. So I was responsible for like $6 million worth of property, from a pen to a tank.
Wow.
And a few handler truck driver.
Okay.
And so the radio came actually out of my depression. I lost interest in sports when I was depressed, and so I started a sports show out of my house on Blog Talk.
Cool.
And then when I was doing that, and when I started finding out what sickle cell trait was my condition, I switched that platform and I started interviewing people with sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait and doing sports for the relatedness of the exertion with athletes.
Very
and
good.
then from there, it just turned into this whole broadcasting personality. So I actually got a whole new life after the military, being this radio producer and host.
Well, and the big thing is, a lot of people, when they have a health challenge or they find out something, you have two ways of looking at it. It's just something else, or you say, okay, I'm gonna beat this thing. I'm gonna live with it in victory. And it seems like you're having fun, man. This guy's got a bad 280Z Datsun. And 350,
370.
370. That's a 280Z.
I had a 280Z.
He had a 280Z.
I got a 370.
370.
I have a Fiat 500E electric car that I brought out to one of the schools.
Nice. That's right. I remember.
And today I have my Can-Am Spider outside. So
this guy's having fun. Sickle cell. What's that? My man's having fun. He's got cool rides and cool people. And you know what? How can people find out more about What's the Count? How can people find you?
Very simple. Go to wdconsct.org. All the information is there about sickle cell trait. The survey is on top. When you log in, it says Disappearing the Ignorance. There'll be a link there. You can actually take that survey electronically as well. And it's just a blessing to be able to be a part of Prime Motivation. When I met Bill, a veteran as well,
yes, right.
We talked about it, and he didn't really have a health and wellness piece. So he allowed me to be a part of this movement and speak to the youth about their health and wellness, along with what kind of careers and jobs. So we actually kind of take care of both of those conversations, and I'm honored to be a part of that.
Hey, well, Mr. Dozier, thank you for being on with us, and check it out again, people, www.wdconsct.org.
Thank you.